Thank you. The chair now recognizes the gentleman from Louisiana, Mr. Carter.
Mr. Chairman, Ranking Member, thank you very much. And Admiral, thank you for your service. We know your job is not an easy one, and we have the utmost respect for anyone who wears a uniform and protects our flanks. So God bless you, ma'am. As the climate changes, the frequency and intensity of extreme weather events are increasing. This summer, a prolonged and intense heat wave has impacted millions across our country. Hurricane Beryl, which recently hit the Caribbean and Texas, was the earliest ever Category 5 in Atlantic hurricane. This was fueled by the ocean being as warm in June as it is typically would be in September after months of summer sun. And we still have many weeks left of summer and months left of hurricane season. How has extreme weather fueled by climate change impacted the Coast Guard's operation?
We are obviously deployed or employed along the coastline, and so as weather events and flooding events intensify, it impacts our infrastructure. As we've rebuilt post-hurricanes in previous years, we moved to rebuild that infrastructure so it's resilient to those kinds of impacts from climate change. Our role as a first responder, disaster responder, leader in disaster, we continue to hone those skills, and I'm certain whether it was the Francis Scott Key Bridge or Beryl or the next disaster that Coast Guard people will be there and ready to lead and support the nation.
Can you speak to the precautions the Coast Guard has taken to protect its people and its physical assets in light of the increasingly hot summer and intense storms anticipated?
Yeah, we continue, as opportunity presents itself, to make investments in our infrastructure to make them more ready and more resilient to the impacts of both temperature and water events, and we'll continue to look for those opportunities to make those investments in the future.
How did the Coast Guard support Hurricane Beryl response efforts, and how well prepared, in your estimation, is the Coast Guard to respond to future events?
Yeah, the Coast Guard takes our role in responding to hurricanes quite seriously. We do a lot of work as the hurricane is approaching a coastal area to ensure that our ports and our harbors are resilient, that our own equipment and people are out of harm's way. And we posture to ensure that as the storm passes and we're able to begin moving primarily aviation assets and boats, that we're in a position to do critical life-saving work and then move to bring the alignment of federal, state, and local responders together to ensure that those communities' needs are being met and met in a way that's responsive to whatever the impacts of the storm was.
Has that been effective, ma'am, working with local and state GOSEPs and the like to make sure that the deployment of resources are timely dispatched and the assistance is met with the coordination that's required?
In our ports and communities, our captain of the ports, who are 06 captain level in each of the major ports in the country, they convene the other federal, state, and local responders. This happens in the good times, so that when an actual disaster or response has occurred, those people in the port, they know each other, they understand authorities and capabilities, and are able to come together much more quickly for alignment on response. The Francis Scott Key Bridge is a perfect example of how all that comes together for great benefit for both the local community and the nation.
As I often say, we know when these storms are coming. We know their names. They tend to come faster, stay longer, and come with greater intensity. God forbid that we don't learn from each storm to make sure that we are not doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. Including the local communities is paramount in making sure in the pre, during, and post effects that the people are well informed of access and opportunities to stay safe. Real quickly, through U.S. maritime ports, though the U.S. maritime ports were largely unaffected by last week's CrowdStrike outage, the event showed the swift and severe consequences of IT disruptions. Given the resilience of the global supply on the efficient transportation of cargo, how are we addressing those concerns?
We take our role in cyber as it pertains to the marine transportation system seriously. We've been investing in our own cyber expertise and cyber capacity. We're in the process of a notice of proposed rulemaking to clarify standards with regard to cyber readiness, cyber resiliency as it pertains to ships and facilities, and continue to work on ensuring we've got the most resilient marine transportation system that the nation needs.
Thank you, ma'am. My time has expired. As I opened, I'll close the same way. Ma'am, thank you for your service and all the men and women of the Coast Guard for the incredible work that you do. Mr. Chairman, I yield.